Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to WCS America. I'm Sham2, and of course, with Oxlov, we're just waiting right now for the next game of Axiom Crank versus the lovely Complexity Sasquatch. Heart, wow. Today's just one of those days.
Yes.
It's a Sunday, brains on coast.
It happens. Game 2 should be getting underway momentarily, but if Game 1 was any indication, Sasquatch is going to have one heck of an uphill battle.
Game 1, that just made my little Terran heart just grow 3 times.
Yeah, it definitely, the Terran play from Hart was really impressive, particularly how he was able to constantly be in Sasquatch's face, really fully utilizing the Reaper regen ability to have him always, getting damage done, but at the same time, he was macroing perfectly at home. All the buildings are being constructed. The third CC was very quickly. The upgrades were on time. Everything just looked to be timed out very, very well for him.
And, it's just using that perfect little device that, the Widow Mine and everything else in the later stages of the game that really just, it's the beautiful kind of new play that we're seeing from Heart of the Swarm with a new type of Terran style where we're not relying on siege tanks taking so long to deploy and getting such, very static map control. Now we're very versatile. We're moving all over the place. Terran's just all up in Zerg's business, pretty much. I don't even know what to say anymore.
Hart was definitely up in Sasquatch's business, at least for the majority of that game. There's a small moment where that Roach counterattack took some map control back. But game number 2 is going to be a very different map. It's going to be on Belshir Vestige. A map, where it's a little bit easier for Zerg to take that third base, I think.
Yeah, and it's going to be, it's a much longer rush distance, but we have seen a couple of Zergs take a lot of damage on this map, so it's gonna be a tough game for Sasquatch, I think, being 1 game down already. I mean, just 1 more game and he's out.
Yes, and of course, that player whose life is on the line is here to top left the location of Belshir Vestige. His name is Sasquatch.
And down here in the bottom right-hand corner, from Team Axiom, it is our Red Terran player, Hart. Now, I was actually in a chat channel before today when I was watching Bonk, who is actually a former Playhem caster, friend of mine, and Jenna was in the chat, Jenna of Team Axiom,
yes,
one of the sponsors, and she was just so passionate about, her other players in the tournament today, making sure that they're getting by, and she was doing research for them and everything, just making sure that her players are going to do just as well as they possibly can. And that's what I think is awesome about Team Axiom. They have just so much care and love for their own players.
They really do. Jenna spends a lot of time, sacrifices a lot of time for the team, does so much work for them. And I think it's been showing. Axiom's really been, their players are doing so well in this tournament. Crank tore through the bracket. Hart, unfortunately, fell to Apocalypse, but Apocalypse is a very strong player. And so far, he's looking really good against Sasquatch.
So anyway, we're seeing a nice little gas first coming out here from Hart. He's not going to be going for any type of quick expansions. He's got the barracks now coming up as well. Probably going to go right back into Reapers. Maybe just play round 2, except without the proxy.
Yeah, that's be my guess. Definitely looking like it's going to be that same Reaper opening. I like the way he hid the barracks. Sasquatch went into the base. He saw the gas timing that was the same as it was last game. And so he's going to be suspecting Reapers, but he might be suspecting proxy Reapers. He might waste time, searching for proxies. He also might overreact because in this case, well, yes, the Reapers are going to come. They're going to do damage. They're going to be scary. They're going to come to his base a little bit later, because it's not being proxied.
Speaking of overreacting, here comes an Overlord coming to check it out, and he is going to be right in the path of that Reaper, and so he's going to see it on the way out. He's probably still going to have a little bit of a heart drop as soon as he sees that Reaper on its way, but I'm sure he's going to be a lot more prepared for it this time than he was last time. Spawning pool just about to finish up, and then once he gets his 2 queens up, he'll be in a pretty good position.
I'd be surprised if he loses any drones to the first Reaper in this case because he should have those Zerglings most of the way out. Of course, he can do the same thing he did last game, build Extractor, build an Evolution Chamber, Spore Collar, whatever it takes before that drone falls to the Reaper shots.
But this time he doesn't have any gas coming up, I don't think, anytime soon, so he's not going to have speed anytime soon, so he's going to be relying on those queens to take out any of the Reapers. But it looks like Hart is not going to be going for anything past that. He's just going to go straight into his expansion and a factory behind that as well.
The Zerglings bravely trying to fend the Reaper off away from the drones. Of course, they're sacrificing their lives to do so. But a Zerg player would much rather lose a Zergling or 2 than any of those very precious drones.
I wonder if a Zergling thinks of a Reaper as like an infinite game of fetch. A ball that just keeps running away. I'm just imagining the nice little carbot animation,
Yes.
circling, chasing after them.
That probably will happen one of these days. With how popular this Reaper opening is, I'm sure he has it on his list of plans to introduce. We're seeing the exact same opening from, or follow through, excuse me, from Heart with the double command centers being built and a reactor factory as well. So we're going to see some Hellions being added to the mix. This time, though, you know, because he wasn't able to get quite as much done earlier with the Reapers, and he's not doesn't have that barracks proxied, he only built 2 Reapers and then actually used the barracks to build the reactor for the factory, so he can pull a little switcheroo and get that factory producing those Hellions a little bit faster than he did last game.
We have a whole bunch of drones coming out here from Sasquatch. He's at a pretty good food supply advantage right now, a little bit supply blocked as well. He's got his gases going up, but it doesn't look like he's going to be going for a 3rd base. I think he's going to go straight on into that lair play like last time. Do you think we're going to be seeing just another Roach push again, or do you think we're going to be going back right into Zergling Muta?
I don't think we're going to see the Roaches. I mean, they really didn't do any damage at Askin. They kind of just died for not much. I mean, they did save him from that Reaper Hellion attack, but Heart's not putting on quite as much pressure this game. And given the fact Sasquatch switched to speeding baiting Muta in the mid-game, it feels like he's more comfortable with that combination.
Well, here comes the nice little Hellion and Reaper harassment. Yet again, the Queen is taking a lot of damage. Is it going to go down? Does take one more hit. Yes, a Reaper shot kills it. You can tell because it didn't catch on fire. But now forming a nice little choke point there that Reapers don't worry about because there's a lip to the left, so they can just jump up on that ledge.
Yeah, Reapers can definitely get around that. Of course, Zerglings keeping their eyes out on that ledge. Hellions have to go through the front, though. The Evo Chambers are going to help a lot at keeping any Hellion run-bys away from him. There is a Roach Horn, so we might be looking to get some Roaches as well, or could this be a safety precaution? I imagine he'll get both the melee and the carapace upgrades in these Evolution Chambers, except actually, he never got Zergling Speed. Never mind, he's going to go... I totally missed that fact. He never actually got Zergling Speed, so he's going to be looking to do a massive Roach play throughout the mid-game.
And this is actually really strong, I think, because, you know, we've been seeing a lot of Roaches, but here's a lot of harassment coming in here. This actually isn't harassment right now. This is just actually a push. As the Hellions do come in, and they're going to take out yet another Queen. The other Queen still taking a lot of damage, but hasn't gone down just yet. A lot of Zergling have been roasted. The Hellions pulling back for now. Their assault complete. I bet they're feeling pretty satisfied with themselves.
Definitely a very good result for those Hellions, getting a lot of pressure done on Sasquatch. Back at home, of course, Heart doing the same thing he did last game, starting to throw up all those additional barracks. The E-base should be started, or actually they're already done, excuse me. Where are those guys? Oh, they're over here on the far right side of his base, getting those upgrades. More Hellion pressure at the front. He's actually trying to kill this creep tumor using the evolution chamber to tank some of that damage. Widowmines were trying to cover for the Hellions, maybe get a queen kill, but with the Roaches coming out, those Widowmines have to run away or they'll be taken out.
Now here comes an interesting point for Sasquatch's plan. He has just shown his hand of the Roaches. Now what does he do? Does he push forward while the advantage is a little bit on the surprise, or does he just bank up and hopefully just defend a while until he gets all those upgrades, then pops out a whole bunch of Roaches and makes his move? And it looks like he's going to push out for now.
Yeah, it looks like he's starting to move out across the map. I think he definitely wants to wait for 1-1 and Roach speed to complete before he does any actual engagement. And ideally, I think he's got a tiny timing window before the Terran upgrades complete of about 10 seconds. Not that big of a window, but maybe he'll try to exploit it. Of course, on the other side, Heart, though, seeing those Roaches, has a backup bunker. He's got plenty of Widow Mines. In fact, he's got 4 Widow Mines all clustered together. It's going to be very expensive explosions. Oh, Sasquatch barely backs away in time.
Does lose one Roach trying to bait out those Widowmine hits, but there's still another Widowmine. It does take out yet another Roach. The Overseers are trying to get detection of them, but they are not too successful as another Widowmine does take out a couple of Roach. And it looks like he's going to keep pushing forward. The bunker does go down. Now the Roach is pushing into the main base, into the natural base. And it looks like he's going to do a good amount of damage, but he still is going to get cleaned up.
He is. The SCV's coming out at just the perfect time. The bunker is going to fall, but killing a bunker doesn't actually hurt that much if you can't follow through and kill those units inside. Heart defense, but he did take some losses.
And, you know, interestingly enough, is that he's not following this up with a whole bunch of droning. He's actually following this up with more and more Roaches. It looks like he wants to keep this push alive, especially now that the bunker has gone down. The food supply count is at 109 to 90. But Terran 1-1 upgrades have finished, am I correct?
Yes, Terran is at 1-1, Zerg's at 1-1 as well. No concussive shells, Roach speed comes in, there's no SCVs to tank for the bio, and the Roaches can get in there, but the Widow Mines do so much damage, and now the SCVs come off. There's still 3 Marauders with Stim in the back. Sasquatch is forced back yet again.
Those poor roaches. They just think they're going to get a really good victory, and then the Widow Mines come in and ruin their day. A nice little stim, but it is weakening his units every single time he stims, so he's got to watch out how many times he stims. The Roach is now doing a lot of damage, but the SCV pull once again. Oh, the Widow Mine's actually doing a lot of damage to those SCVs.
Oof.
You got to watch out for that splash damage.
Lucky for Heart, SCVs have 45 life, and the splash damage is 40 on the Widowmine. so many SCVs at the 5 hit point range, but if any Banine or even a Zergian gets back in that mineral line, a lot of those guys could fall later down the road. Sasquatch looks to be backing off for a bit now, trying to transition into more drones, adding in that Hydralisk then. His 2-2 upgrades are considerably faster than Heart's. Heart's actually neglected his armory for quite some time.
Now this is the really nice synergy we were looking for. Actually, while we're waiting on that though, a whole bunch of Marines and Marauders are going to clean up the rest of the retreating Roaches. But here's the synergy I was talking about before. He was getting the upgrades last game, +1 ranged, and then he swapped over to Zergling and Mutas, and that didn't really work out so well. This time he's actually going to be continuing with those ranged upgrades, so now he hasn't wasted any resources on upgrades that won't be continued to about 2-2 or 3-3.
Definitely looks to be a little bit more of a cohesive plan for Sasquatch. The problem with Roach Hydra is always if you get stuck on Roach Hydra and a Terran gets a maxed out army, the bio suddenly becomes a little more cost efficient. The secret is trying to find an opportunity to transition to adding the support units, the Infestors and or the Vipers. But the first step, of course, is always how to defend from the drop play when you don't have Needless on the field.
And here comes that drop going straight on in. Going to actually take out the gas. It's a very smart decision here by Heart. Especially when you're going Roach Hydra, it's a very gas-starving build as you need to get all those upgrades. All Roaches and Hydras all cost minerals and gas as well. So losing that gas, you know, probably going to lose about 200, 300 gas before that extractor goes back up. In fact, it hasn't even been restarted.
Sasquatch has got to find a way to deal with the threat on the right side. Well, that's going on. Widowmine's doing massive damage. The drop has returned to the main. I think Heart's actually going to take this bet on the right side. The drop is pushed away yet again, but Heart being so cost efficient in these engagements.
Yet another 1 or 2 unlucky Widowmine hits there for Sasquatch. I mean, he did put a couple of units forward to bait it, but there were just so many Widowmines that he couldn't possibly just feed them that long. He needed to make a move on Heart's forces.
I like how Heart actually escaped with the Widowmines, didn't leave them there to die as the rest of our army retreated. Medevac trying to find another angle to drop. Sasquatch adding in stack defense, but Medevac circumvents it. Only a single queen there to defend.
Those Marines are pretty hurt though, so I don't think it's going to do a lot of damage. The Queen is going to keep shoot it away, and actually looks like that Medevac might go down. It does walk over to the natural where the other drop was coming.
Yeah, he kind of lured units to a spot where he was going to drop a second time. The Medevacs didn't really coordinate their plans too well together there. But Heart's still happy with the way the game's going. 3 base to 3 base. He's catching up in upgrades. Now he's at 2-1 versus the 2-2 of Sasquatch.
So many Widowmines. That is an incredibly scary thing to see. As a Zerg, oh man, that's going to be a lot to deal with for Sasquatch. But actually, the food supply count pretty even, 162 to 158. Can we take a look at the workers, just to keep a track of the econ? Yeah, pretty even as well. Got to keep in mind that there are mules though, so.
Terran has a little bit of a slight edge in that regard, but you know, Sasquatch does have the infestation pit chamber down. You know, one of the dangers of Roach Hydra, if you get stuck at 200 food without that support, then the composition starts to lose some of its luster, but he is starting to get ready for that transition in this Widowmine. Oh, a nice target there, getting several drones there. By default, the Widowmine would hit the Queen, but Heart, very good, has manual control over those Widowmines.
And there goes another Widowmine. Tries to get down, but just as it gets into its cloaking phase, it's taken out by those Roaches and Queen. Nice little Roach Hydra force moving around, trying to keep that map control, trying to stop any forces from Heart moving across the
brave Widowmine scuttles across. Oh no, the Medevacs! He cannot afford to give away 3 Medevacs
are going to use their afterburners and get away, just barely, but a whole bunch of Roach and Hydras are caught out of position. They decided to just walk into that Terran army. I'm not sure if that was the best of the decisions. A nice concave coming out here from Sasquatch, but all the Widowmines are going to do so much splash damage on Sasquatch's army. Heart absolutely able to clean this up. Possibly, oh no, actually. Those Hydras, way too much DPS.
A few too many units there from Sasquatch. Heart's reinforcements are waiting back to base, but now he joins up with them. Sasquatch has got to get out there. The Widowmines are still on cooldown, but there's no Overseer to take them out. Scan reveals there's no Overseer coming in, and Heart pushes forward yet again, now with a 40 supply lead. In fact, actually, he took out the Hive with his drop play.
Oh man, he's been completely tearing out the main here. Look at the food supply count now. It's 169 to 132. Heart taking a pretty good advantage right now.
He's going to knock out the 4th base with his main army. The drop play is going to be looking to hit in 2 different directions. The natural is going to be under fire as well as the 3rd. It looks like the 3rd drop backs away. Sasquatch defends those drops, but he does lose the 4th base. He has lost his Hive. Heart's progressing to 3-3, and he was really trying to get that Hive out to get Vipers into play. Vipers are such an essential element of playing, late game Zerg vs. Terran.
He's been absolutely taken advantage of, and the way that you were saying before, just those drops, you can't deal with it, but all the Roach and Hydras just going straight on into this MMM army, and they are going to get evacuated, medevaced, if I will. And now the Infestation Pit also going down. It looks like the Hive finally getting back up, but he just doesn't have the resources to get those much-needed Vipers out.
He doesn't. His little counterattack is going to force the Command Center lift, but now these units are being cordoned off. SCVs coming to mind. They didn't get the memo that the pace was lifted. I think the Battle Force is going to be more than enough. Additional reinforcements coming in from the back. Then Sasquatch's last army falls. His main is still being devastated by this attack. And, wow. What a win by Heart.
2-0, 2-0. Poor little Sasquatch is going to be eliminated from the tournament. This was the losers round 9, if I am correct.
Yes.
Losers round 9. So
that's
Sasquatch
a far run.
That is an incredibly far run.
Yeah.
Sasquatch has come so far since I've first known him. And it's great to see that he's gotten so far and is on complexity now. But being eliminated out of this tournament, not the worst of things, but he still did pretty well.
Definitely did. Definitely put up a good fight. Made it pretty far in the tournament. But that's the end of his run. There's a lot of players still left, though. Actually, not too many more. I think we may be down to the last 40 or so. But anyways, that's it for Sasquatch's run. We'll get on to another game after a short break.